Hey, Eli here. I just photographed my first wedding with the R5 Mark II. I have two of them. I've had it for less than a week, and so I've been learning the camera a little bit as I go. It's not much different than my R5, so it's pretty easy, but I just want to share a couple hiccups I had and then things that I liked about it and some results, as well as just, initial thoughts of using the camera throughout the week. A little bit about me is I've been photographing weddings since 2007, and so quite a while. I live in Oregon now. I started my career in California, and I photograph everything involving people. So weddings, families, elopements, commercial headshots, magazine work, all kinds of stuff, branding, personal branding, business branding. So anyway, initially I had an issue with this camera. Images at the wedding were coming out soft, and I was looking through the viewfinder, and I'm just like, what is going on? So long story short, I got home, I looked at narrative select, images are all soft. I'm like, what is going on? So I pull them into Lightroom after talking to Canon. They said, well, what software are you using? Lightroom, totally sharp. So I'll just kind of jump through that later at the end of the video, just kind of show you what was going on. It was weird, and so a little bit of a hiccup and scare. But I was kind of using this camera mixed in with two R5s, two original R5s and two new R5s, the R5 IIs, just in case, there really was an issue. But I was like, there's no way this could be off. So and then the only other drawback that I saw was I used an original battery to start, and I got about an hour, and I was at 50%, which isn't too bad, but I ended up getting 2,000 images before the battery needed to be changed. For example, I got around 5,000 images with my original R5, and then I switched over to the new battery. So I didn't really keep track of it too much, but I think it did pretty good. So I'm just going to run through a list of things because I will forget. I'm going to make multiple videos on this camera so that I don't forget and I can be more specific on different features. Right now I'm filming on my second camera in C-Log 2, the one you're seeing now, and then I will edit it in Final Cut with I'll use, what is it, Dehancer. I really like Dehancer's film simulation. So, and then I've got a 6-foot box, or not box, umbrella lighting me right now with a 300-watt light that is turned up to like 20%. So cool. I'm going to run through these pros and cons, in my opinion. I'm a Canon shooter. I will shoot with anything that's great. I don't really care so much. I think all brands are great. I do prefer Canon colors and Canon lenses. I do wish Canon would come out with more lenses. For example, the 85-1.2 is an amazing lens, but it is slow to focus. So rumors of a 1.4 50mm would be awesome. I need to try out the new 35. Throughout the day, I use the 28-70, which I'm filming on now, for my primary lens, and then I use 7200 a lot, and then the 51.2. I have a slew of lenses that I adapt, but I didn't really use them on a busy wedding day. So this wedding in particular was just very fast, a lot going on, a lot of people. It's like 250 people. So I initially, was testing out this focus, and I set this camera up to people, like I could turn on and off people detect, subject detect, because sometimes I find that overwhelming when I need to focus on one point. I don't want it to focus on another face, so I can turn that on and off with the back button right here. So I just eliminated all the animal and other tracking or subject detect modes, and then just set it to people and off. So then I could toggle back and forth. I set this back button to autofocus, and then I set the front to focus on tracking. So I have a focus point. If I want to track something, this camera tracked phenomenally. Like I said, the photos are coming out soft, so I had a little bit of a scare. When I look back on the images, tracking on point. If someone was coming down an aisle, I would just turn on that subject detect. I didn't have to think about pushing the back button. It's just a little easier on my brain and just faster and quicker acquisitions. I don't have to think about it. So focus was great. The main things about this camera that I wanted it for was the focus, and I guess the silent shutter is pretty sweet. No issues with the electronic shutter. Didn't have any warping or banding or any type of electronic LED issues. Cool. All right, I'm gonna run through the price. It's expensive, obviously. Yeah, it's expensive. So if this makes me money, $100,000 plus a year, then it's worth it for me. This will probably last me 4 years. So if I do the math on that and divide 4,300 divided by 4, it's not that expensive, because I know I'm going to use it and make money off of it. So I bought two. I ordered three. I canceled the third one just because the two had shipped. And so I might order a third later on after I sell off all my other Canon gear. We'll see. But I'll have to start selling stuff off. The original R5 goes for around 2,000 to 3,000, which is quite a steal. I still think that camera is awesome. The tracking isn't good. If you track with autofocus, it's great, but if you track with a focus point, not so great. Yeah. just my experience over using it for 4 years. The R6 II tracks pretty darn well. I do find this R5 II to be a little stickier, but yeah, it's going to take more experience and me using it more to really get that down. Let's see here. I've got price, autofocus, image quality, in my opinion, is identical. I have another video that just compares high ISO. You can download those files, check them out, and see the difference, which is not really a difference. But looking through these images, starting to edit them, can't tell a difference, which is fine. I love the R5 files. So I think 45 megapixel is great. 33 and up, awesome. 60 on a full frame is kind of a lot, but it's fine. I use 100 megapixel GFX. It's fine. You know, I would prefer 50 megapixel GFX with phase detect autofocus Fuji. It'd be awesome. And then let's see what else. Eye tracking. For me, the EVF eye tracker, it's okay. I'm not going to rely on it because on a wedding day, it's just chaos. And I'm always just doing this thing back and forth, different eyes, looking at the back of the screen. I just don't want to be relying on that to be necessary. One thing I did notice is, so you can set that little tracker. You can obviously calibrate it. You can set a little tracker to be like orange, purple, or white, or different sizes. I just turned it off just to see what would happen, because when you're looking at that little thing move around, it's just so distracting. So I turned it off, and it was pretty close to where I looked. Like, obviously, you got to calibrate it, and then I think that it probably helps if you had your eye in the same position every time. So like if I'm moving around a lot, my nose is getting in the way, and so I'm always at a different kind of angle, and so that I think that's probably going to affect for me how accurate it is. So I don't use it. I didn't use it on the R3. It's probably better than the R3, but I don't have enough experience with it to say so. If you're shooting sports or something and you're just always in the same position, I think that it could be really beneficial. In theory, it's incredible, but yeah, I don't think I'll use it. So it is kind of one of those things where, like, am I paying for something I'm not using? Yeah, which isn't great. Battery life. Everyone's talking about this whirling sound inside here. Like, I don't know if I can get this. I'll turn it on. I'll put it up against the mic and I'll be as quiet as I can. So I don't know if that's audible for you guys, but there's this little whirling sound. I called Canon, I asked them about it, and they're like, oh, maybe it's the IBIS. Turned off the IBIS, still did it. So in-body image stabilization, which would make sense if that's what it was, but I generally set my IBIS to only engage when I press the shutter, so I'm not killing battery. But then I completely turned it off, still made the sound. So I don't know. Not a big deal, but if that's draining my battery, that's kind of annoying. All right, electronic shutter, pretty rad. You can set it, I set mine to 5, 12, and 20, but you can kind of pick some increments in those 3 different options, which is great because I'm not going to shoot 30. 20 probably maybe for like a bokeh toss, but no one does those anymore anyway. So yeah, it's really nice. It takes some getting used to. I set the volume all the way down to low, and then I even put a piece of little gaff tape over it that I can move back and forth if I want it to be quieter. The only thing is you don't get that like tactical feedback of like you feel the shutter. So if you're on a dance floor, you have to look for those little boxes around that are just kind of letting you know that it's taking photos. So it just takes some getting used to. I did it with R3, loved it. It doesn't feel as cool like you're taking a photo, and then your clients also probably want some feedback, so I have at least some audible sound coming out. But you could go completely silent, you can go blackout free, but I like that little blackout just so I know that it's taking photos. I'm not shooting sports, so I don't need that to see every frame. So, but I think it's pretty cool. It's cool that it works. I didn't see any banding. I did a couple tests where I tried to like shake the camera and see if I could get a pole to bend, and I couldn't. So maybe if I take some golf clubs out, give that a shot, we can really see if it has any issues. Let's see. Startup time's so fast. That is huge for me with a kid, and it's the buttons over here now. So happy. Turn it on, ready to shoot in like half a second. I mean, it's so quick. Yeah. So there has been issues in the past with Canons. If you fill the cards up, then you're going to start to see a startup time slow down because it's reading that information on the card initially. But we'll see if that's an issue. And yeah, I don't know. But startup time's fast. One thing I noticed with the R5 over years of using it, when you got to 50% to the original, the battery 50%, it would like make this weird shutter lag sound. Like the shutter is kind of like tired. Pop a new battery in, it was fine. So around 50%, I would change all my batteries anyway, which just got kind of annoying. And so with the electronic shutter, obviously don't have that issue. I don't know about the mechanical shutter on this. I'll have to find out later. I probably won't use it, but yeah, maybe for like some strobe stuff. Or I used it actually taking some selfie photos of my whole family with a remote, and with the electronic I got no feedback. I couldn't tell if it was taking photos with my remote, so I switched over to electronic, and then I can hear it from 20 feet away or see the shutter move inside the lens. So those are the times I would probably use it for that stuff. On off switch moved, video switch here, which is great. EVF's a little bit bigger, like window wise. I think the EVF looks pretty similar when I'm using it. There was that weird, I swear that when I looked inside the camera, they look soft in the EVF, and I'm thinking that's due to a raw file, a new raw file that's just not registering. I don't know. It's definitely not registering in narrative select, which I'm sure will get updated. Just everything looks soft. All right, and then joystick's a little different. You know, this one was more of a, what would you call it, a concave, and this is convex, so it's curved out a little more. And this one had like more, just sharper feel. This one has a little less like tactile feel, or just feel. I'll get used to it. It's fine. It's the same one as R6 II, but not a big deal. The cameras themselves, I mean, I feel like a little more grip on the new one, but you know, looking at them, there's like these subtle differences that, you know, you wouldn't notice unless you like really stared at them, except for the on-off switch and some other little deals. And the EVF sticks out maybe a couple millimeters further towards your face. But yeah, I don't even know what else is different. All right, I'm gonna get this video over with so you can get on with your day. This is totally initial, first week of use, so take that for what it is. This is all my opinion from using it and just my experience. I just want to get this out. So if you're trying to decide to buy it, you know, you asked me like the day after the night of the wedding, I'd be like, I don't know, because everything was soft. But now that I look at the images, it's great. So I think it's a good upgrade. You're getting a better autofocus system. You're moving the on-off switch, which is huge for me. I don't know if that is for you. There's a lot of video stuff I'm not going to go into because I'm not that experienced with video yet, with this whole camera or just in general. But you know, having the electronic that's reading 14-bit versus 12-bit and actually works, like you can use electronic shutters, pretty cool. Your shutter life isn't going to matter because I've got almost, gosh, 180,000 shutter counts on these cameras. They're rated at 400,000 or 500,000. So, you know, like when you're getting in that 300,000 range, you got to be careful and have backups, and, you know, you might want to have a new shutter put in or have it checked. So you don't have to worry about that with this camera. All you got to worry about, I guess, is not dropping it and the buttons. IBIS? I don't know. That's probably the only moving part, which is pretty cool. Really quickly, I'm going to show you these on narrative just so you know that I'm not crazy. If you look over here on my screen, you'll see these images right here. I'm going to zoom in here. I'll zoom in, and it's soft. It's like this weird softness. Like it's not rendering the full JPEG preview. So raw files have a JPEG preview built in so that we can view them raw. And it's soft. It's weird. I don't know what's going on. So if I go over to the actual image, the raw image in Lightroom, sharp, super sharp. We're at f2, 28-70, 1100 ISO. I don't know. That's what scared me initially, but I know that I'm good. So culling images is going to be a little weird for a little bit if I'm using narrative, because I'm going to have to like know that it's in focus. But then like, you know, I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's probably going to be old news in a month or two. Thanks for watching. And yeah, let me know if you've got this camera, things you like or don't like. Yeah, but I think that if it's in your budget and you work as much as I do, then you should buy it. So have a good one. I'll catch you later. We'll make more videos on this as I get more experience. So, but right now it's wedding season. I'm pretty busy. See ya.